Krofssik with Digital Watchdog. And today, for those of you who just joined us, we will be giving you guys a sneak peek of what we're going to have at ISC West, some improvements, some new stuff, and some new software. And these, we're trying to do these, good morning Ed, trying to do these monthly. So we will have one of the, a post-show one on April 8th, which will have a little more information. One of the things we won't have information on in this one is release dates, because, you know, we're still working out release schedules and stuff like that for the new products. So don't give your sales reps too much of a hard time on what you're going to see in here, because some of the stuff is a little bit off. Some of the stuff will be available shortly. Some of the stuff will be available, 2 or 3 months, depending on our manufacturing schedule. But you're going to see a good sneak peek of what we're doing. So with that, we will get started. It's 11:01, so a few other people have kind of come in. And again, I'm Paul Krofssik with Digital Watchdog. I think you have an email from me, so you'll be able to just send me an email with questions. We will have a Q&A thing at the end, so stick till the end if you got any questions, because I'm sure there'll be a few. And ask me then if I can't quite answer it. Either shoot me an email or I'll reply to your question just afterwards. So anyway, let's get started. So first off, this is where our booth is going to be located at ISC West. We're booth 18043 or 18,043, I guess. And it's a larger booth than we have. We have more display space in it. So if you're going to the ISC show, by all means, come visit us, and you can actually see this stuff in action. If you're not, as I said, we're going to have a post-show, again, around April 8th to highlight some of the stuff we've done. And I don't know why everything's flashing. Sorry, guys. Okay. I don't know. I don't know why Zoom is doing that. Again, new stuff for Zoom. As long as you guys can see everything, that's all that matters. So let's go to the first product, and that's going to be our new A1 G4. Okay, so this is our Generation 4, very creative, A1 HD over coax recorders, higher performance than our current models, the A1 Plus, with full support for our MyDW platform. You will be able to use current A1 Pluses with MyDW also. Up to 16 channels, so we have a 4, 8, and 16 channel unit. Built-in Pathfinder, we're going to talk more about. Up to 5 megapixel cameras from really any manufacturer. So this is our HD stuff, 30 frame a second recording. Some of you guys are familiar with it. The menu system hasn't changed from our current A1 Plus. We're just doing a few upgrades and enhancements and performance things on these particular systems. Same with the IP Plus product. So the DW IP Plus product is built-in PoE into all these boxes. So we've got a 4, an 8, and a 16 built-in PoE ports. But again, these have extra ports, virtual ports, whatever you want to call them. And so the 4 channel is really a 9-channel unit. You plug in a PoE switch into it, and it can handle an extra 5 cameras. Same with the 8 channel. The 8 channel is 8 PoE ports, but 12 total ports. And then the 16 channel unit is only 16 ports and 16 channels. The plus of those smaller number ones, get an 8 channel unit and the guy wants 9 or 10 cameras, you can just add a switch. The system will detect the cameras. You set up the record modes and away you go. Along with our integration with our DW Witness product, which basically turns your phone into a camera on the system with a piece of software you download, and you point it toward the system using our Pathfinder. Or you can do direct IP, and it will become a camera on the system and you can record it. What about 32 channel? 32 channel isn't in the cards till the end of the year. I'll get a timeline for you there. So the next thing, new product, IP camera. You guys can see it here. It's going to be our ultra small size pinhole camera. 2.1 megapixel, 2.88 fixed millimeter lens, It's got true WDR, some really good noise reduction that expands the environment. So think ATM machines, could be used as a doorbell camera. It has custom lighting controls on it, so it can handle being, under an eave better, or in the case of ATM machines, the cameras are kind of set back. So this is a very high performance camera for especially low light situations in places where you got to like kind of stuff a very small camera into. So this is an exciting product for us. And again, brand new. We'll show it at the show. It will have our IVA or IVA Plus model, so it'll have video analytics built into it. So you can also use the video analytics portion in whatever you want to do with it. Our next new model, so this is brand new, is our Megapix Flex camera. So this is a 20 megapixel camera, so 5 megapixels per imager, all right, that allows you to do panoramic, but you can also move those camera lenses into any position you want. But this camera does have something very unique. It has an excellent vertical field of view. So basically you set the camera so it's pointing, so you just see a little bit of sky, not too much of the horizon, and you'll see underneath the camera. So you could have it pointing out to a building across the street, as long as you're not trying to, record the birds fly by, because the camera will tilt up above the horizon. You can go and, look, have it pointing at the building, either the roof line of the building or a hair above it, and you'll see what's under the camera. It's really a nice setup in it. 30 frames a second, full NDAA compliant camera, and we'll have video analytics built in it also. And only requires, even though it's 4 lenses, only requires 1 license. Okay. So our next new product, and again, brand new product, is 32 megapixel 4-imager camera. Matter of fact, could use a better picture of this one. Gives you a full, little over 180 degree view, fast frame rates at 30 frames a second, 4 9.05 millimeter lenses, 8.29 megapixels, so basically 4K imagers in it, multi-codec, two-way audio, gain control, Starlight Plus built in it, and it has a very good camera stitching and alignment. So if you want to get those cameras lined up, whatever. But again, brand new model, designed for, I would say, bigger areas you're trying to cover, stuff like that. These panoramic cameras really cut down the number of cameras you need to install. And another new model, sort of in the same vein, is a dual imager, 5 megapixel camera with 2.8 millimeter lenses in it. So this one has the IVA Intelligent Analytics built into it, seamless integration. So anything that's IVA Plus has seamless integration to the spectrum, and you can control IVA rules with the spectrum to reduce false alarms, increase your recording storage with the logical rules, and the rules set up in the camera. Okay, so you can have multiple rules that says someone crossed a line and then went into this intrusion area, and then it says, okay, we're gonna have the system record. And there's one of the things I'm going to show you later that's kind of an important part of it. So next camera we're releasing is a 5 megapixel camera, 3.9 millimeter lens with 70-foot range white light LEDs built into it. Okay, so again, this camera has the IVA Intelligent Analytics, reduce false alarms, and using white light. Okay, you're not losing. Hey, I saw a guy walk by, but you can't tell what color shirt he has on or things like that. And this is 70-foot IR in front of the camera, but it's also good just for augmenting illumination. You've got illumination in there. The camera never goes to black and white, and you can augment illumination that's already there, or use it as to help the camera and see what's going. Because I do like IR cameras. They work great. We have dozens of models with IR in them, but these new white light cameras are a different sort of animal, especially on a front door to a building where you're trying to identify someone coming in. Better to have a white light on them than an IR light on them. And then we have another model that's also a white light camera with 5 megapixel 2.8 millimeter lens again, true wide dynamic range, 100-foot range, so a little more powerful. This has a different suite of video analytics, which is the reason why it doesn't say IVA on it, but it is line cross, perimeter intrusion, abnormal color detection, video blur. So if someone spray paints the camera or, it gets super dirty or whatever, with object classifications that include people and vehicles. So it's very, again, one of these cameras can use the white light. The white light also for analytics is great because you get more accuracy out of it. You're getting less shadows. You're managing the scene better, so to speak. So we're releasing these white light cameras. They're going to stay in color 24/7. Okay. You don't get that bloom when it switches over. So no IR. So the camera never goes into black and white. The white light can be turned on and off by IVA, or it can be used, put on a schedule. You can say, at 7 o'clock at night, we might have some street lights or whatever, but we're going to have this thing on here for a little extra illumination. So again, pretty powerful setup. I think these white light cameras is something that has not been available very often. And I think it'll be a good plus for certain jobs that you guys are doing. So next, let's talk about software. Okay. So we're going to release a new version of Spectrum, what we call version 5. But I'm only going to tell you about a few things because there's a bunch of things going on with it. And then we're going to talk about the MyDW Cloud Managed Services. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is MyDW Cloud Managed Services. So MyDW is a suite of software products. Okay. So you got your Pathfinder, you've got your mobile apps. And by the way, those things are already available, where you have a MyDW client desktop app on the way, MyDW AI, which is integrated AI into your cloud managed system for your cameras. And then the whole suite is cloud managed services. So this will be able to, number one, have you seamlessly connect to your systems from basically a web dashboard, or you can log in with a standard, I call it a fat client, not a thin client software, or your mobile apps, get alerts, information, what's going on with your system, and even have some video analytics built into it that's really meant for maintenance of the system, as opposed to, hey, someone walked here and crossed this line. We're actually going to be analyzing the video coming from the cameras. So first thing let's talk about is Pathfinder, because Pathfinder is already built into the A1 Pluses we have available now. So this is not new. It is improved in some ways. We've brought in and have co-located much faster US-based servers. Okay, so we can handle the load we know we're going to get from this thing. It's available on our A1 Plus and our IP Plus gear. One of the things you'll notice is this is actually the web page. So you can see here, who's connected to it, how many people are connected to it, how many cameras are hooked up. But also here, you've got your QR code. So this is the web page. So let's say someone got a new phone, they wanted to be able to log in. You could either, give them the login, or you could log in, take a picture of this and send it to them, or they can use the app, take a picture of that QR code, type in their, username and password, and they connect to the systems. Okay, so make it very easy. The Pathfinder QR code, you don't have to go to the site to get the QR code from the system. It's built into the web browser. We're also going to have an update that allows for setup, but also live view and playback with no plugin in the web browser. Okay, so we're going to be increasing the abilities of how our system handles web browser access. Okay, so some of the things we talked about on that previous slide is we'll have a web client. We're going to have clip sharing. We're going to be able to send interval camera snapshots to view and verify things. So let's say personal anecdote on the side of the building. We have a gate on the side of our building. We share with another company across the street. They do excellent air conditioning work, and we share a gate. And I just want to make sure that the gate gets closed after they leave. Sometimes it's been left open, and stuff's been vandalized or whatever. And so far, so good. But I get a snapshot every night about 6:30 at night, tells me that that gate's closed. We're going to add two-factor authentication. So this way, you're less likely to have a problem with cybersecurity issues. And we're going a different route because Digital Watchdog product works with other manufacturers and other people's gear, works with our stuff. So you can plug in Brandex into our IP Plus unit, our IP camera into ours, or Brandex analog camera, and it works with our stuff and vice versa. And so we're not going to be, having this service where, hey, you don't, the stuff doesn't work if you don't pay us. Okay, the stuff's going to work. So we're not going to hold your equipment hostage. Okay, we're going to make sure the data and everything is available for the customers, regardless of the situation. So let's take a quick look at Clip Share. So Clip Share, again, this is done from your browser dashboard, and you can create a clip and then choose who you want to send it to. This one was created by Leonardo DiCaprio, who knew. Okay, and you can send it to the authorities. You can send it to someone who would then send it to the authorities, but you can share information, okay, from the cloud access without having to, open a client, export it, do this. You can share it all from the cloud. Okay, so that makes this thing, much easier to deal with. Camera view verification. So this means, hey, we got a problem with the camera, right? Reference image versus, it's going to detect it and say, hey, there's spider webs and dust on it. Okay. So again, one of these things where, hey, this camera's fine. Okay. This camera's fine. This one's got a problem. There's like black spots or something going on with it. So, you'll get camera view verification, and it means you can be more proactive with customers. Okay. So get this thing, it says, hey, this guy's cameras are a little messed up, or whatever, or there's boxes piled in front of him. You can be proactive with the customer and say, hey, Mr. Jones, or I always use the last name McGillicuddy. Mr. McGillicuddy, you've got a bunch of boxes stacked in front of your cameras. You really can't see what's going on. And he'd be like, oh, okay, thanks. They move them around the warehouse or whatever. So again, we're not going to hold our user data hostage, equipment hostage. And also our systems still work with our very good fat client. It's got to be installed on the system, but we've got an Apple version and we've got a Windows version. C3 CMS, which allows you to do a bunch of other stuff in it because, web browser versus a client that can handle, multiple images, you can get more capability out of a client installed on a machine using all the tricks that are built into Windows and a Mac as far as, viewing different cameras, grouping them together. This is our stitch mode. So, you could have individual cameras and create a panoramic view from individual cameras. So let's talk a little bit about Spectrum. Okay. So we're going to release version 5, Gen 5. And I'm only going to give you, honestly, a few of the features because there's a lot coming. And I just wanted to be a quick preview, overview on what you're going to see. So some of the new features are resource grouping, advanced object search, got some new recording modes, archive encryption, and then some audio mapping, backup options, live thumbnail. You can guess, right now, if you've ever used Spectrum before, you can put your mouse over the name of the camera. So let's say it's called front door. A thumbnail comes up, which is the last one that came in the system. Now the thumbnail will be basically live video. Okay, so you can actually see what's going on here. Let me double click on that rather than it being one frame. Okay, so let's talk about resource grouping. So now you can take resources, and again, cameras are the biggest resource on here, and you can create a folder, view like a folder for all your front cameras and all your warehouse cameras and all whatever, and view it and say, okay, hey, the warehouse guy can only see his warehouse cameras. I'm going to give him access to just the warehouse cameras, and maybe he can play them back, maybe he can't. Okay, so again, a different way of doing it, a different way of viewing the system that make it easier to set up for the customer, especially when you're setting up. You got layouts, and now you've got groupings. Okay. So again, just a sneak peek. This does more than just that, but you can put together a bunch of stuff, resources, including web pages and different camera streams and coders and stuff like that. The other thing is advanced object search. So built into our cameras and other companies' cameras, but built into our cameras are video analytics. And also we're going to have another video analytics thing we're going to talk about in a few. And so the cameras are sending us data, okay, about what's going on in the videos. And it might identify an object, might identify a bus, car, truck, a person, some other group of people, however you're going to do it up. So we have an advanced object search that as long as the attributes are in the analytics, we can search by those attributes. So let's say you wanted to search by car, truck, bus, okay, object color. So I want to look for red car, okay? You're going to be able to go in, as long as that information is in the data that's sent to us, we'll be able to search on it. So again, different way to search, also a different way to record, which we'll talk about a little bit in a few, but you'll be able to go in now and search saying, hey, I want to see cars. I want to see cars that came in on the spot. So you can do a lot of different stuff now in the search with version 5. New record mode. So now you can have record modes for objects only. So let's say you only want to record people. Okay. So you just say objects only. So the objects may be, that, or motion and objects, or just motion, or continuous record, or motion plus record, motion plus objects plus low res. So you can always have the continuous record setting out. So now we have more ways of saving hard drive space, but also giving you more accurate information. Because let's say you're doing motion plus objects. So you're going to get the motion, some shadow on the ground because it changed a whole bunch of pixels is going to show up. But hey, all the cars driving in front of this cameras. I want a recording of all the cars that drive in front of the cameras. It'll now be just, much more useful information than that, or only people. So again, keep that in mind when you're thinking about, someone who's really wants to, hemming and hawing about the price of a system. It may just come down to storage. And if we can reduce the storage by, doing a object plus low res or motion plus object recording, might be a good way to do it, because you can, of course, as you saw previously, search on the objects. Also, as far as many of our security upgrades, you're going to be able to encrypt the archive. So you're going to be able to password protect the archive. Now, there is a caveat on here. It's actually written right on the screen here. The encryption password will be required to restore the archive on another system. Meaning, if this data is portable, you've copied it over to a, drive, or you've had to, for some reason, had a problem with the hardware and had to rebuild it, you need the password. So don't forget the password, which is the same as anything else. If the password can't be reset, though, because it's buried in the data and it's not connected to some kind of cloud service or whatever, so you just got to remember your password. But now you have archive encryption. So you have encrypted data as it comes through the line. You're probably using your own switches, so it's a closed network, and now it's encrypted on the hard drive, and it can be decrypted from there. You don't need a password to log in with the client, except for your user, regular username and password, or your cloud credentials. Okay. It will increase CPU utilization, archive encryption, but in some cases, I think it's worth it as long as the end user can deal with it. So your archive, your backups, okay, so this is your backups, can now be based on motion, bookmarks, or objects. So again, you could go in and say, I only want to back up when there is motion or something on the screen. So I'm going to use motion plus objects, or motion plus objects plus bookmarks, okay, or objects plus bookmarks. And this way, then when you're creating backups, you're sending this to another storage somewhere. And again, if you guys saw my or our Works With presentation last week, we are going to be working with Wasabi and releasing cloud storage. So keep that in mind, that you could have your backup go to the cloud. Okay. So let's talk about another thing, including some new NVRs we're going to release, and it's Blackjack AI. And so these are going to be an all-in-one NVR and analytic appliance. So you'll have Spectrum on the machine, and you're going to have some integrated analytics engines. And so some of you guys who have used our cameras know we have IVA and IVA Plus. Okay, so we have zones, tamper detection, counting lines. We've got line cross, tailgating, and then some other ones, including dwell filter. And also we have deep learning. Okay, so built into here is also deep learning people tracker, object tracker, and color filter. Okay, so you're going to have more analytics with the intelligent capability built into the server. Okay, so if analytics built into the server, I believe these will be separate models from the current models we have, and keep an eye out for them. I don't have a release date yet. I'm pretty sure it'll be after ISC West, but excited about these because, you know, I think, you know, video analytics is where the whole thing will go, just to make stuff playing back and finding events much easier. So let's talk about the integration. So the integration will be that you'll be able to go in and be able to play back, and the analytic that's in the machine, let's say, again, you're doing group of people, unknown, whatever, then you can search by group of people or line cross or person or an unclassified event, or however you have it set up in there. Or you could just click over here in the corner where it says objects. You guys actually will see this in version 4.2, but up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little thing, looks like a computer chip. And you click that and it will show you the objects in there, but it doesn't sort them. All right. So it's a much better way to play back and search for items. So again, those of you that are coming to the show, want to give you an idea of what we're doing at the show, along with just having our booth there. We're going to have booth presentations. We're going to have Linnell doing presentation, company called Metapix, again, video analytics, PDK, company called Calypso that does video analytics, Wasabi, which is, of course, storage, and PlateSmart. Okay, so we're going to have all these people with their integrations actually doing a booth presentation. I believe this is on the Wednesday. Okay, we might have a couple more on Thursday, but I think it's Wasabi's both days. So you'll be able to come in, again, if you're going to the show and see it. We're going to attempt to record some of them. Okay, so maybe we can work with them and get them online, or maybe just have them come in and do another Works With webinar like we've done in the past. So anyway, this was a pretty quick one. Got you guys out of here in about a half hour. Do you guys got any questions for me?